Hey, greetings everyone. It's Sam Collins, your coding and billing expert for Cairo Secure, HJ Ross Company, and of course you and the profession. Today's program, I'm going to speak about audits. I know everyone kind of hates that term and they get nervous. In fact, I think you've probably seen a lot of people like myself. I've been doing as an educator for chiropractic now for 25 years and a forensic expert when it comes to coding and billing. And I'm contacted by all types, whether it be attorneys, state boards, the insurance companies themselves. In fact, as you all know, I'm part of the Optum Health Coding and Reimbursement Committee. This makes sure that everyone knows I don't work for them. This is an applied position that I'm appointed, but it gives me an insight onto what's going on when we look at these types of things. And the one thing I think I'd want to kind of be careful with is often notice the people who are telling you to be afraid of an audit are trying to scare you. And they're scaring you because they want you to buy what they're doing. So there where you can fix their problem. And it's not to say there isn't a little bit of purpose behind that, but a lot of that is hyperbole. So we want to be careful. And I want to talk to you today about what is really going on with audits. Should it be something that's going on? In fact, you always hear people, oh my God, they're auditing by Medicare or they're auditing by any. For those that have been around a long time, remember when Medicare used to send those pink sheets and you would go, and people are always scared. You should never honestly be afraid of an audit. All audits do is verify what you bill, did you do? So if you're afraid of an audit, then I would be concerned that did you just not document? And it's not to say no one likes to be audited. I mean, who wants to be audited by the IRS? But if everything that you said was true on there, it's not a big deal. So I want to be careful because one of the things we deal with, and this is the one thing, if you're not insured through Cairo Secure, you should be. Here's why. They protect you. Now, obviously, it's malpractice, and that's what everyone thinks. It's malpractice insurance. And I get that. That's certainly the main thing for it. But the truth is, chances of you having a malpractice suit, frankly, are pretty low. And it's not that you shouldn't have it because you always have it just in case. The bigger factor you're going to run into is what if someone makes a complaint about you, whether it's a complaint to an insurance, that may trigger an audit, or an insurance company looking at something. Did you know that Cairo Secure has audit protection, meaning they bring in a person like myself, as well as legal people that help go back and defend it. What I want to be able to do is kind of give you today what can trigger one, and then what to think of when one happens, how do you deal with it? But more importantly, how do you probably prevent it, but also have the mindset that if you're doing something that may trigger one, big deal if you're doing it properly. So let's get away from the hyperbole and the fear. What is an audit really? An audit is nothing more than reviewing a file or several files for services. So by example, if you build out a 99205, would that be something that may trigger an audit? Generally, no, but if you did it a lot, so here would be my takeaway. So what if you do a lot of 99205s, very high level E&M? Well, if you're doing it on every patient, that could be problematic. But what about when you have patients that have really severe conditions? They've been to multiple doctors, and or they just have such a history or things that you have to gather on the first visit. It just takes a lot of time. The key is, if it is with every patient, I had one doctor that billed out 99204 and 99205 almost always. And when you see that, you're like, my goodness, what could this chiropractor be seeing? That's life and death. Well, it wasn't necessarily life and death, but you know what he did? A lot of work with surgeons who referred him patients after or pre-surgery to see what he can do to work with them. Well, when you're dealing with a patient that is an absolute surgical candidate, would that tell you that's a little bit more complicated than a run-of-the-mill strain sprain? Absolutely. So when you're billing an E&M code, the one thing I will tell you is in an audit, what they're looking for is someone that bills high-level E&M codes, 204s and 205s, very frequently. Billing a few here and there, no big deal. But if you bill it a lot, they're going to go, ooh, that looks weird. So what triggers an audit are things that will come up as unusual. Every insurance company uses algorithms, as everyone does now. They have artificial intelligence that just looks at coding patterns. So if your coding pattern is one where you have 99204s, 205s very frequently, chances are someone's going to eventually go, let's make sure this fits. For typical things chiropractors see, that wouldn't be common. So therefore, you want to make sure if I'm billing them, do I qualify them? So the one thing to keep in mind, if you tell me every patient is a 205, I'm going to say that's probably not true unless you have some unusual circumstances that may go along with your patient base. But ultimately, even if you do, we have to make sure, did I qualify? So let's say you've billed a 99205. I want you all to think right now, what is required to qualify for a 99205? What do I need to do? What do I have to justify that? There's two ways of doing it. You have the medical decision making, which means the severity, or the amount of time. Now, time is relatively easy. If you have a patient that has a very complex, complicated, long history of issues that's chronic, it certainly may take you an hour to do that. Now, would that be typical? A patient takes an hour? For an experienced doctor, who takes an hour? But there could be times for it. So if it doesn't meet that type of criteria, what does it require? Well, a 99205 is pretty significant. That requires almost a life, death, or severe disability. So I would suggest that for most chiros, unless you're seeing that patient that's a surgical patient and or long-term disability or lifetime, chances are it's not a 99205 unless you meet the time factor. So one of the things to do is go back in the archives of what I've done in these programs to show you what does qualify. If you get audited for it, I don't care. If you qualify for it, I have doctors all the time that I get information from and say, let me see. One of the things that I do beyond just these programs is I do seminars, of course, but we also offer a service that's called the network where I work with you one-on-one. I prefer that to be beforehand. One of the things you should all do is audit your own file, that if someone were to audit you, would there be a problem? Have you checked to make sure, hey, if I've billed a 205, did I qualify? Same would apply with a 204. Certainly a 204 may be a little bit more common, a little bit greater severity, maybe a severe trauma with long-term disability might fit, but otherwise it's 45 minutes. So keep that in mind. If you're getting audited, what triggers it? High-level E&M codes. Codes that would be atypical, not to say that they're absolutely not used, but atypical. If your run-of-the-mill patient is a 205, I'm going to say that's probably not right. And if you do that a lot, someone's going to look and go back and say, hey, that was improper. We want our money back, or we're going to downcode it. So be conscientious there. What about E&Ms this way, though? Providers often bill them very, very frequently. I've had offices say, well, I bill them every 2 weeks. I would go, why? Why every 2 weeks? The standard for a billing of an E&M code is every 30 days. So if you're billing them every 2 weeks, what would trigger it in 2 weeks? Why not 30 days? Well, if you're doing it sooner than 30 days, and here's the trigger, sooner than 30 days on a lot of patients is a trigger for someone to look. Because again, the algorithm shows, wow, 90% of doctors bill them every 30 days. Why are yours every 2 weeks? Well, there could be reasons. What if a patient had a new complaint, a new injury? Well, that certainly could justify a sooner than 30 days, but make sure it's there. So one of the key factors is just look at your coding pattern. Are my E&Ms very high? Are they very frequent? And I'm not saying they can't be, but if they are, you better take a better look at your notes to make sure they're justified. Does my notes back up what I've billed? What's one of the other triggers that happens for audits that people get all concerned? You've all probably gotten a letter like this at some point, whether it's from Medicare for that matter, but also all the general insurers. I'd say Aetna, Cigna, Optum, the Blues all send these out that says, oh, your frequency in the use of 98941 or 98942 is higher than what we would expect. Now, you may wonder, what are the expectations with that? Is there something that expectations of a 4.0 or 4.1? This will surprise many people. Do you know even Medicare indicates that more than half of your patients would be at 98941? More than half. So therefore, if you're billing 50 to 60% 4.1s, maybe even a little bit higher, that would be considered kind of normal. In fact, I can tell you Optum will scold you if your 4.0s are too high because they're going, you're probably not diagnosing this properly. This is based on when a person comes in with the complaint, how often is it multiple areas? And when you have multiple areas, there's often an adjacent area. So it's not unusual to have more patients with a 4.1 than with a 4.0. So something to keep in mind. Well, what's going to trigger it? Well, what if 90% of your patients, 80% are 4.1s? That is a little weird. That doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong, but does it justify? Now, we have to be careful. Remember, as a chiropractor, we often adjust full spine based on philosophy, which I understand and I get. I do diversified as well. However, if my diagnosis is only cervical, regardless that I may adjust some other regions, because my diagnosis is cervical, it's a 4-0. So be careful. Don't allow your technique to dictate your coding. By example, where I run into issues here with audits, and this is one that I get commonly, is the provider is billing out 80-90% of his claims at a 4-1. And while I'll expect that to be the case, to be higher, just not 90%, invariably, and I'll tell you honestly what I found, I've not yet to see a chiropractor that's billed 80-90% of 4-1s that it was actually justified. Now, that doesn't mean the majority isn't. If you told me it hovered in the high 60s even, or at 60%, I go, oh, okay, but not 90%. Because at 90%, you're saying everybody comes in and no matter what, they have 3 areas always of complaints. And that's probably not true. Here's what the percentages are average, what should be normal. Honestly, 55-60% 4-1s. Probably about 40%, maybe even a little higher, 4-4-0s, with a very small percentage of 4-2s. I mean, a 4-2, honestly, is unusual. It doesn't mean you won't see it, but I mean, imagine you have a person not only with complaints, but significant findings for all 5 spinal regions. It happens, but I would say keep it under 5%. Now, if it's higher than 5%, okay, tell me why. Now, again, if you have a patient here or there, no one's going to have an issue with that. It's the higher than average. So keep in mind, CMT codes that at a higher frequency for a 4-1 or 4-2 than goes outside the norm means you're audited. Now, being that someone requests records doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. They're just looking, going, ooh, it's unusual. We want to see that it's justified. I will tell a doctor in a minute, I will defend you backwards and forwards, always, if the justification is there. So be it. If you see those types of patients, if we can justify it, it's there. Again, would I consider it to be typical? No, but there certainly could be some instances where it may be a bit higher. Now, what about 98943? That is one that will trigger an audit also, if you bill more than 25%. Now you go, where'd you come up with these numbers? Well, these are based on insurance companies, the numbers they see. More than 25% sounds like it's a technique. By example, I've had doctors, you can always tell when a chiropractor has gone to a weekend seminar for extremities. Because on Monday, everyone's getting an extremity adjustment. And while extremities are important and certainly significant, we've got to be careful that you're not correlating, oh, everyone with a low back has a drop talus or something else. I have a friend that he adjusts ankles and knees with every low back because of the basis of the balance of the body on the pyramid, if you will. And while I understand that chiropractically, philosophically, that's more based upon his philosophy of that area. And so it correlates to the spine. It's not separate. So unless you have a distinct complaint for extraspinal, be conscientious of the justification of it. Now, what else can trigger? Audits happen when things are unusual. What's unusual? Long-term care for seemingly uncomplicated conditions. So be conscientious. Am I treating everyone 30 visits no matter what? I mean, you can always tell a provider, they'll find a plan that says the plan allows 30 visits a year. And what does everyone get on that plan? 30 visits a year. Now, I won't say that that's impossible, but improbable. Shouldn't there be some people that get a little less or a little more? Why does everyone get 30? Well, part of that problem is people like chiropractic care, obviously. It's the one doctor people want to go to compared to no one says, oh, I'm looking forward. I'm going to the medical doctor on Monday. I'll guarantee for chiropractors, there's someone on your books right now that can't wait to come in because chiropractic feels good. So patients begin to choose and say, well, if I get 30 visits a year, I want to use all 30. I'm not against that. But do we have the justification for that number? So does the diagnosis meet that level of care? And if everyone with a simple diagnosis to a complex diagnosis is getting the same, doesn't that appear unusual? Now, that doesn't mean it can't be justified, but it's obviously going to be harder to justify why someone with a very simple back pain problem compared to one with a very complex seem to get the same types of services, especially for length. So keep that in mind. Notice what I'm pointing out is audits happen because it's unusual, but more importantly, when someone audits, do they find anything? Was it justified? So let's talk about long-term care, but also just number of services. Some doctors, no matter when the patient comes in, they get the exact same service. They're going to get a little heat, a little stim, a little this, a little that. It's always 4 or 5 things. Again, not necessarily anything wrong with that, but shouldn't the services be based upon the condition, the complexity? Now, when you see someone with a low back strain, I would certainly believe many of you are going to do the same types of protocol with each patient, of course. What may vary is length, because some strains are a little bit more severe. But what I'm pointing out is that if you always have everyone treating a very long time, or with a greater number of services, it's going to trigger someone looking. Now, that's when we have to justify, why do we do it? Did the diagnosis match? Did the complexity? Why did we do the same service throughout the whole course of care? Think of the purpose of what we do. Passive care is pain management, swelling, muscle spasm. So if we're still doing that 6 weeks into care, I would start to think, I don't think that's working. The one thing that fits throughout care, though, the adjustment. The beauty of chiropractic is your care, meaning a chiropractic manipulation, fits during any phase of care. But think of modalities. What is the purpose of exercise? That's rehab. Now, we can start it sooner than later, but if you're telling me that someone's still getting heat on visit 20, why? So again, there's got to be a justification. And why would I bill heat anyway? It's so inexpensive. Focus on the active care. The other one, when it comes to treatment, is just plain old number of services. As a person gets better, there's an expectation that some services would drop off. I'm not going to say necessarily the number, because I believe in rehab. If you look at a standard insurance carrier protocol, they talk about active rehab being something that we should do with our patients. Why? Musculoskeletal problems are always going to cause a deterioration in strength, flexibility, deconditioning. You got to rehab it. So exercise certainly should be a part, and maybe the initial, you don't do as much because the patient can't tolerate, but then we drop some of the passive things, focus on the active. So the number might be 2 or 3 units of that. Key factor here is if you're billing 3 units of services per visit, that's within, even 4, but it's when you're getting to 6, 7, or 8, it's like, Now, if you tell me a very severe auto accident or something that nature, that might be justified for some period of time, but I'm getting back to a trigger is something unusual. If your pattern fits within, and again, if there's a outlier here or there, let's say your average patient visit is 11, and you 11 visits meaning, but you have a few patients that come in 30 or 40 times, I would go, yeah, because that is something that we're going to see. But if you tell me for every patient that does 30 or 40, you probably should have some that take 2 or 3. I mean, let's face it, some people should get a little bit better. So keep in mind, don't be afraid of an audit in the sense of, did you or can you justify what you did and why? And did you do it, most importantly? Invariably, I find when offices are audited and it's sent to me, whether it's ChiroSecure or others, I look first to say, hey, what can we justify here? Let's make sure it's all there. If it's all there, I'm in. Defend you backwards and forwards. We don't lose those. So one of the things I require when someone joins our network is I audit your office. I want to audit files to see whether or not, hey, let's just take a random look. Everything you billed for, was it done? And you should do the same. Have you ever thought of, do I do a self-audit? By the way, that's part of HIPAA and compliance. Self-audit. Am I really justifying what I'm doing? And I would say be particularly conscientious when you are a higher than average utilizer. If you bill high level E&M codes, you do a lot of services, begin to look a little bit more critically. Don't be afraid. Be proactive. Your care is good. Let's demonstrate it. So let's give a summary. Let's go to the slides here. Let me give you a little bit of a breakdown of what to do. If you have high level E&M codes, that is something I want you to be conscientious of. Can I justify it? What if your E&M frequency is above every 30 days? Just make sure, why did I do it? What triggered it? So you don't have someone coming in going, hey, there was no reason for it. Your CMT codes. What is your percentages? You should see higher than 50% for 4-1s. But if you're billing at 90%, take a critical look and see, am I doing this based upon my technique? Let's face it, if you're an activator type doctor, you may well do a 5-region adjustment plus extremities every time. I'm not going to down that type of technique. However, the use of that technique does not justify you in a 4-2 and a 4-3 every time. What about greater than 4 units or 4 services? That's something I would look at to see, well, the why. Do I justify I'm doing that? In fact, if you're doing very passive care with active care at the same time, that seems a little bit weird. Why? What about just long-term care for uncomplicated conditions? Okay, simple diagnosis getting the same as something more complex. Take a look and figure out, well, why? Are there unusual circumstances? Can I justify it? So here's what it comes down to. Make sure your documentation meets the level that you've done. If you've not done a class with me or have looked at it, please look. Do I fit the medical decision making or time? And let's remember, time is not just face-to-face time, at least when it comes to an exam. Does your diagnosis meet the CMT? Be careful. Often I've seen doctors say, well, the patient came with a cervical complaint, but I'm justifying a 4-1. You can't. Now, certainly, if you told me there's a cervical complaint and you saw something adjacent in thoracic, I would say, yes, I get it. There could be another diagnosis there. But what's adjacent to cervical? Thoracic. There's no adjacent to lumbar, so be conscientious there. Does the care plan match the severity and complexity? Think of your diagnosis. You want to create something that doesn't cause an audit? Give me a proper diagnosis. What is the difference of someone treating for back pain to Facet syndrome or radiculopathy? There's a big difference. So here's the thing. Help me help you. We offer a service that does that. This gives you a little thumbnail scratch of it. Take a look. Our seminars are coming up. We're going to have all the new codes that are happening for next year. But in addition, we go through how do we help you? And that's really the one-on-one part. I'm going to say to all of you, don't be afraid. You're giving good care. Don't be scared of an audit, but be proactive to look to make sure, am I there? Let me be part of the team. We can do that. Until next time, everyone, I wish you the best.